And the good times continue on Smoking with the Blend. And we are with one of my favorite people. It's Eddy Guerra, Senior Brand Manager of Davidoff Cigars. And Eddy, before we go any further, there's always money. There's always wagering going on. How do you say your damn company? I mean, I've heard Davidoff. I've heard Davidoff. What is the pronunciation, my brother?
Davidoff.
Davidoff.
Yes. Please put that on repeat because I answer that question so many times.
I mean, literally, I figured it had to be Davidoff because it had to be fancy sounding, because this is one of the heavy hitters in the cigar industry. This is like on the Mount Rushmore of cigar companies and cigar brands, right?
Yes, it is. You'd be amazed how many people call it Davidoff.
Right.
Tomato, I guess, if you're from another country, maybe with an accent, it sounds cool, like Davidoff. But, it's a Davidoff here.
Well, let's get started before we delve into the world of Eddy Guerra. Let's delve in a little bit of who you are. Now, I know your brothers. I know you're from a very, I would say, big time service industry royalty down here in South Florida. A lot of restaurants, a lot of lounges, a lot of bars, and yet you moved on to the cigar world. How did that all come about?
I am the oddball, man. I am the youngest of 4 brothers, so...
Ooh, must have been really quiet at your house, man.
My poor mother, my parents, Jesus. So we kind of always all followed in each other's footsteps. We all went to the same schools, same elementary schools, same high schools. I think it was in the middle of high school when I realized, I was always a little bit different from everyone. I was more on the artistic side. I wanted to stand out because I always lived under 3 different shadows, which was hard to carve your own path doing that. We're all athletics and we all play sports. It was crazy, man. You're growing up and like the oldest brother's like, I'm the captain of the team this year. 2 years later, I'm the captain of the team. 7 years later, and he's like the captain of the team. And then, it was my turn to come in. It was like the same thing, but like, it was just weird, and I guess you always fight for your own identity. So I broke family tradition and left probably one of the best schools that you could possibly go to ever. After sophomore year, I left and did junior and senior year in another outstanding school as well. So I actually was the first Guerra to not graduate from Columbus. So which was
and
kind
Columbus
of a big deal.
is like heavy duty down here.
Yeah, we're all still family. I still got invited to the 20-year reunion because we all connected like one big unit, but I ended up graduating from LaSalle, which was another fantastic school. But I wanted to be that different person when I had the opportunity to. I was like essentially recruited to go play football someplace else. Mm-hmm. Did that anyways, but that's just who I am in my DNA. I always, as everyone's going a certain way, I always go the other. And then that led into nightlife, right? So we're all involved in nightlife and we all had our own ways of doing things, and we're all extremely competitive between ourselves in our own right. And at some point it was a really crazy time to be alive because we all controlled the nightlife scene in Miami. Between all of us separated, we're all each other's competition, but all the biggest nightlife venues and nightclubs, like I was a marketing director of one, my other brother was a marketing director of the other one was a partner marketing director of the other one. It was like this crazy thing. Eventually, once again, I decided to be different. At the time I was working for a really big company, Nikki Beach, and they offered me this crazy opportunity as their global marketing director to relocate to open up their location in Thailand and Asia. Trying to be different. I was like, yo, let's do it. I thought it was great. I made that decision, moved 3 weeks later.
3 weeks to just get up and...
Yeah, it was awesome. So like, I felt like, all right, here I'm carving my own path. And it's another long story, which we'll probably get into, but the short version is I decided to get out of the business ish and open up my own whiskey and cigar bars. So it was like my entry into the tobacco world, which I loved, and that was awesome. And then from there, relocating back home and deciding, when at that time my family was like, come work with us, we're all working together. And it was just at first it was a little bit of a no-brainer, but like as soon as I started, and then I was getting phone calls from companies, I was like, man, the tobacco world's calling me, man. And I wanted to do my own thing, and I have my own aspirations and goals and drives. So that's the route that I decided to take.
I love it. And it's obviously suited you well. So explain to me where this, I asked this to everybody on the show here. Where did we don't find cigars, cigars find us. That's what I firmly believe. So where did the cigar find you? What was the moment that you said to yourself, wow, this is something that I really enjoy, and it's something I want to be a part of?
I think there's two instances, Cuban American, Cuban family, you grow up with tobacco as being a part of everything. Later on in life, I ironically discovered that my family was in the tobacco business in Cuba. No relation to it, no tie to it, just damn coincidence. Which that was a neat situation. Anyways, my older brothers, I guess they always wanted to be like dad or one of those situations. So my brother Emilio, he's 3 years older than me, the one that from the war, dude, at a very young age, he was like 19 years old, and he already had like a whole humidor cabinet in his room, and like I never understood it, and I was like, whatever, you smell like dad. He would always give me cigars and really nice ones, and it just, dude, I didn't know, and just like everybody else, you just kind of get sick because you smoke it wrong or you inhale, and so it never really, I didn't have that aha moment until, truthful, like, I like to tell people sometimes, like, because I grew up with a lot of manufacturers and their kids that are all from Miami, but like that aha moment happened to me overseas, so I'm in Thailand, and was running a hotel, and all we sold were Cubans at the time because you're overseas, and that's another story on how I got into the business. But I was hosting a wine dinner, and this wine manufacturer afterwards was like, "Hey man, do you have any cigars? Let's enjoy a cigar." And like I just did it, like I was like, "Yeah, man," like I just wanted to continue this bonding experience, and whatever. But internally, I was like, "Fuck, here we go." And
because you're trying to be different from the family, and now you're Michael Corleone. As much as you try to get out, they just pull you back in.
Right. And I was like, here we go. And I told myself, like, man, I know I always get sick or whatever, but I'm just gonna kind of like take it easy. And I actually did. And like 30 minutes into it, I was like, dude, mind explosion, right? And it was just brilliant because it was more than just enjoying the cigar. It was enjoying the cigar in the right setting with the right people, pairing it with these really nice wines. And it was just kind of like, oh man, this is kind of cool. I can't wait to try this again. And then I came home, and my brother was on one of the trips. So I would fly over every quarter to visit my family. And my brother was kind of like done with smoking just for, I don't know, I guess he got over it at the time. And he still had this humidor loaded with all this crazy stuff. And I was like, let me try this. And once again, I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, all right, man, this is going to be my jam. That trip, flew back to Thailand, went into the hotel, and I was like, all right, I grew up with all these manufacturers from back home. We're no longer selling Cuban cigars. We're going to bring non-Cubans into Thailand. I'm going to sell them at the hotel. And I came back with this like drive to do something different. But at the same time, it was also a way for me to like, I just wanted cigars there. So I had cigars to smoke and not have to pay this crazy money for
product. The bottom line.
Right. Like for product that was subpar, So, one thing led into another, and that led into like, hey man, I called a couple large manufacturers that I knew from back home. And I was just trying to stock up a humidor in a hotel. And they're like, hey, if you want us to send stuff to Asia, you kind of got to like import. Like I can't just send you a box, So that led into a conversation where I, at the hotel association in front of like a bunch of hotel general managers, where I was like, last order of business. Oh yeah, by the way, I have an opportunity to bring in some cigars. If we all chip in together, we could totally save a lot of costs. And like, it was really like this had nothing to do with anything. And everybody was like, yeah, sure. Cool, man. If you bring it in, we'll buy it off you. It's no big deal. And I was like, oh, I got a business. So like that led into a business, which turned into a distribution company. And, you know, eventually I was like, forget working for other people. I'm going to work for myself, and then opened up my own bars and all that stuff. So I kind of was pulled back in to just in my own way and going my own route. And, you know, got to experience an amazing time living overseas and working with a bunch of brands and really experiencing the market in a very different light. And then I saw like what living in a third world was like. That's like in the middle of my peak of like, I'm never coming home. I have the best life ever. I'm a business owner. I'm at Cigars. I have whiskey and cigar bars, and the military overthrows the government and the country freezes. And I was like,
oh no.
Where the hell do I live? You know? And I was like, oh yeah, I live in Thailand. So that was kind of like a crushing moment, but an awesome moment at the same time, just because it opened up so many doors. So I kind of sold everything, moved back, and then, you know, kind of already knew what my vision was going to be, which is, I say this every once in a while, and I don't mean to say it too much because people think it's egotistical or whatnot, but like, I came with a different mentality. I didn't come to just work in the cigar business. I came to change it. And like, I always feel like, hey man, I'm coming in here with a mission to leave a mark and leave a legacy. And so I kind of just dove in head first, strategically chose a company that offered me the job. And I was like, all right, man, this is my plan. And a short 4 years later, I'm here at Davidoff. So
now, explain to me where you see the cigar industry. You know, give me sort of Eddy's state of the union of the cigar business. Because I mean, I think it's growing. I think that you have a lot more young people in it, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and for Davidoff, which is such a traditional company, you know, again, it's one of the Mount Rushmores. How do you guys balance that to serve your customers, the old school, the old guard, and to welcome in sort of a new, younger, the future, so to speak?
I mean, with Davidoff, I don't want to say it's easy, but Davidoff's part of their DNA is they've always been that super innovative company, right? So adapting with the times has always been something that they've done, down from, you know, when Zeno was alive, right? Like, he went from Cuban cigars to non-Cuban cigars immediately. Right. And he understood. So like, I resonate a lot with the brand personally, or the philosophy of the brand, because I really learned the business overseas. And overseas, what made me fall in love with the business was the old school romance and luxury of it. But you don't have to be super vintage and old and snobby. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It wasn't about you know, how much you smoke or what deal you got. Like, it was literally like a lifestyle, but like a true elegant lifestyle, man. People would show up, people were in suits. I technically still live that, you know, like, it was just like, hey man, this is just part of who I am, what we do. And it's more than just a product. It's just what you surround your entire life with, your philosophy. And that always resonated with me. And it's something that I like to think kind of sets apart the way I like to think and work and plan and structure, you know, the rollout of our campaigns and stuff. So like, that's like at the core of it. And then just I view this, again, the industry a little different than most. So that the industry is very healthy right now, for sure. And I think everybody could agree, thankfully, because everyone thought the pandemic was going to be
right,
like
right,
like a chop to the knees. You know, everyone prepared for the worst, and thank God, man, as a whole, we all prospered. I like to think, for the most part. For whatever reason that is, I don't know, but right on. what I loved about that whole time is just very few of us, but a lot of us always wanted to really push the envelope and do things, whether it be digitally or activation wise, just innovate in more ways than just products. And most companies, well, you'll have leadership that's like, hey, man, that sounds good. I like to do it. But dude, we have responsibilities that we're used for. Like, for the most part, this industry as a whole is very traditional. It's like, if that's the way dad did it, that's the way grandpa did it, that's the way we're going to do it. It doesn't change because this is the recipe.
And that's got to be for a guy like you who doesn't follow sort of that.
Oh, no, I don't take that route. I've been very blessed that, even here, man, like our president, him and I, we've known each other since we were kids, and we're both that same mentality, like, which is another crazy story. So, like, I got blessed that because of the pandemic, it was like, bro, green light, full throttle. Let's go, man. And our whole team is really forward thinking that way. So we operate extremely different. And, but it's still true to the core, like the product's got to be top quality, no gimmicks, and keeping it real and still deliver that lifestyle edge. But you could be innovative, and
well, how do you do that? How do you do that? In other words, I mean, I'm not asking you to give me to open up the vault and give me all the secrets, but what do you, give me an example of that? How do you innovate, to get people to go to Davidoff, to go to Avo, to go to Camacho, and all the brands in your portfolio?
I mean, so again, I feel like this is our advantage because, first of all, what I just described, that green light, like, not many people got it, but we did in our company. Because a lot of people were still like, this is the way we do things. It's just a pandemic, So people refuse to change, and we get to fly, which you see, it's almost like a changing of the guards, right? Like the old are going to continue doing their own way, and you have this new generation coming up. There's a bunch of us, and we get to do it, But for me, that. And I think it's beyond cigar business, right? Because I don't look at this as a cigar business. This is a luxury lifestyle business.
Well said. Well said.
It's not that this is a product of it, but you can't market to people that smoke cigars. You got to market to an entire segment of lifestyle, right? And you got to know who you are. So I think the most important thing on how to do anything is you truly got to be your own customer mentally, right? You truly got to be your own customer, and you truly got to know what you want, right? So when you're planning, it's, dude, what would I want to attend? You know what I mean? What would I want to do? So like, I know people in tons of businesses that, they go to work, they do their thing, and they're marketing and all that stuff, but all right, well, what are you doing your time off? If you're not part of that circle, or if you don't understand that, I mean, then you'll just be mediocre, like, it just is what it is. But if you want to lead and blaze, you got to kind of know, man. So like, we like to sit around and literally we like, what are we doing? Well, we drink great wines. We have good times. We go to cool lounges. We listen to great music. We drink amazing whiskeys, and we have nice dinners, but it's just not like, hey, let's just go to have a nice dinner. Like, we literally strategically as friends, like, we pair shit before we go out. All right, man, I know I'm going to look at the menu. I know I'm going to look at this. I'm going to order that, and I'm going to have it paired with that wine that's on that wine list. And so then when we're done, we can have that whiskey that's on that list, and then we're going to smoke this cigar that we're going to take. And we literally, I mean, that's how we live, right? So that's how we got to prepare our plans, like, what do people like when they're doing that? Or, what else do you do aside from smoking cigars? I mean, what are you into? You into cars, watches, suits, traveling? What kind of traveling? What kind of places do you stay? So it's you have to look at the entire ecosystem. And once you understand that ecosystem, and if you're a customer of that ecosystem, and each brand is different, so it has its own ecosystem, then you truly know, what path you should take. Because converting people to Davidoff, Avo, and Camacho and those brands is, I have a very different approach. I think we all have a different approach where I'm not fighting, I'm not really looking to fight for people that are inside the humidor. For the most part, if you're a cigar smoker and you know who we are, you know what we stand for, right? It's forget that. Everybody's so busy fighting for those small percentage of people. There's a whole world behind me. There's a whole bunch of people like my brother, like, hey man, he buys boxes of cigars, but he doesn't know any of this bullshit. You know what I mean? So those are the people that I want to attract. So I do want to be at the boat show. You know what I mean? I do want to be at the horse races. I do want to be in the certain restaurants with the killer chefs, having the amazing cocktails, because those people that don't know about products, I want them to know about our product first and why we are the best. There's a funny meme, I shared it yesterday online, but it's so true. Like, people promote and they market, but they don't understand brand, right?
Right.
So marketing is like asking a girl out on a date, but branding is the reason why she says yes, because she knows what she's going to get. That's your brand. So that's the sauce, man. It's just kind of understanding where you are, being very realistic and really looking at things and taking inspirations and learning from the trends, because things evolve and times change. And if you don't evolve, then you're going to get left behind.
Something you said, Eddy, that really struck to me is we went over the portfolio of Davidoff. It's Davidoff, it's Camacho, it's Avo, among others. And you said each one of those brands has its own ecosystem.
They do.
Is one more challenging than the other? I mean, it's almost like picking between your kids. Like I got the good child, I got the wild child, I got the child that doesn't listen to anything. Is there any one that you got to say, okay, we got to really take care of this baby?
No, man, they're all like very healthy brands, but the reason why I feel they're very healthy brands is because they're extremely well defined.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have brands that try to play within certain segments, and it's like confusing. Like, am I high end? Am I grungy? Am I strictly blue collar? Am I blue collar, white collar? Like, there's too many overlaps with a lot of brands, and they're too focused on like, because family tradition. And it's like, dude, you really have to define yourself. And when you define yourself, you will really know who your customer is and what their ecosystem is. But see, that's the thing. There's a lot of work behind closed doors to really run this the right way and really, really win. If you don't do it, if you don't do that work, then you're just like a house with a lot of brands. And like, today we're gonna release this, and next year we're gonna release that. But like, it's all the same thing. It's a Nicaraguan, Ecuadorian, Dominican blend. Like, blah blah. Like, that means nothing. That's just another great cigar that no one gives a shit about. And next year, the next new thing will take off. But like, if you really define your brand, and if your brand is like its own company, because they were at one point.
Sure.
Camacho was its own company, then it was acquired. And Avo was its own company, and then it was acquired. So like, you've got to keep it as such. You shouldn't let them overlap. Then cannibalization starts, and like, it's just really finding out who you are, what's your identity, So like, one's not harder than another. It's just, it can be if you don't really know where you're going. But if you really define, what's hard is changing your mindset during the day, right? So when I'm in, with the team and we're talking about, innovation time, and again, it's not just product innovation, but it's like strategy, marketing, planning, innovation. Like, you got to change hats and change moods to understand. And I'm bizarre that way, right? Like, I will change the lighting in my office, and I will change the music that's in the background, like I like it because I have.
You're like a method actor. You have to.
I have to, man. Like, for me, there's like a whole meditation to it, and I try to change mindset. So think clearly, right? And all of our team, like we all work together cohesively, and it's great. But like when I have certain meetings with certain guests, if I know I'm going to talk about one brand, I know that this person identified with that brand more than the other brand, and like I bring this person into a meeting, and like it's really knowing who you are as a brand, and then kind of getting in that mode every time. So,
well, obviously
that's the hard part.
Yeah,
but
your
it's not hard.
innovation and your work, and you've got a new release through the Avo portfolio. Tell us about that. What can we expect? What's it called? And when can I get some of that myself?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm smoking it now, and I don't know if it comes out clear, but so this is the new Avo Synchro Caribe. So it is the fourth cigar to the Avo Synchro pillar. So now we have a nice complete pillar. And Synchro, a lot of people don't understand. They just like what is Synchro, that pillar versus the other Avos. So if you look at the architecture of a brand, there's two pillars. You have your core line, your Synchro line. The core line is, man, it's stood the test of time, been around 20 plus years. It's just Avo, man, like what people have come to know, like that super elegant, refined, awesome cigar, complex and all that stuff, but it's still like classic old school. Right? A couple of years back, they said, hey man, the industry's changing, customers are changing, people's palates change. Just like how you had the whiskey boom of craft cocktails and bourbon and all this kind of stuff happening. So the Synchro pillar was created. The Synchro pillar was a little bit more edgy. You know what I mean? It was a little bit more full flavored. It was a little bit more complex. But why it was called Synchro is because it's the synchronization of tobacco. Synchronization of tobacco from different countries, which normally Avo did not do. You know? Yeah, they had wrappers from other countries, but it was mostly Dominican profile. So, you know, we came out with Synchro Nicaragua, Synchro Fogata, Synchro Ritmo was the last one, which was a few years back. You know, again, they're a little bit more full flavored, a little bit more aggressive, but it targets a different consumer. Still in the Avo line. So like the designs are funner, they're funkier. They appeal to a younger generation than the older generation. People still love the classics. It's super strong, but this is just different, man. You know,
just the band when you held it up, it was bright. It got your attention. It made me stop and think, what is this? You know what I mean?
So exactly. So we wanted to create the final one, which was, you know, I don't want to say it's an ode to the Caribbean, but like it's almost like it's synchronized. Synchro's gone around and it's ready to come back home, right? So it's like Synchro Caribe, and you know, we're all like, we called it Caribe because it represents a lot of the flavor profiles from the Caribbean. The Caribbean is more than just Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. You know, the Caribbean, you know, Mexico has a Caribbean coast, Nicaragua has a Caribbean coast. So it was really like, how do we get all that culture and flavor profile? How do we make a cigar to kind of honor that, from like the music, the art, the food, the coffee, the chocolate? Like it's all like, they're all one and they have their own energy, you know? So when you're in these countries, what do a lot of people do, especially in the coastlines? Like, man, people spend time outdoors, they go to the beach, they drink rum. It's a celebration of life when you're like visiting these places. So let's create something.
It's pura vida, like what they say in Costa Rica. It's
right, exactly. So this is kind of like an ode to that. And the cigar, I'll let everybody try from stuff. It comes out tomorrow. Officially, you can buy it in stores tomorrow. So, but I love it. It's one of the first projects that I worked on when I joined the company. We worked very, very hard as a team to just on every piece of it. The blend alone is super dynamic. I think it's gonna blow some people away. Like, it's gonna make some serious noise. And then the whole concept behind the campaign is super neat. When we start rolling it out tomorrow, you know, you'll see what the future is like when it comes to marketing. You know, it's very digital. It's very robust. I mean, we got 6 months worth of content they're going to roll out, and it's just going to be complete. Avo Synchro Caribe takeover. And there's a lot of really cool dynamics to it, from mini documentaries to like huge events and crazy artists, you know, because we worked with a lot of artists in this project, because art, whether it be painters or musicians or film, like this is all part of the whole Caribbean culture. So it's a really neat thing, man. And it's really forward thinking, and it's going to be fun.
Well, you've sold me on it. And so it's Thursday, August the 12th is when it comes out. Thursday, August 12th.
Thursday, August the 12th. And then if you're in South Florida, on Saturday, August the 21st, we're going to throw a humongous launch party at the Wharf in Miami, of course, right?
Of course.
Which that's going to be a really big deal, because we're flying in, you know, DJ Tony Touch from New York, who's an amazing old school hip hop DJ, but he's a Puerto Rican DJ. And like he's just, we did a lot of work with him during the pandemic. He did a lot of live broadcasts, taking over our social media channels. And it was such a beautiful marriage of concept and things that we want to do. So to keep that whole thing going, he's coming down, he's going to DJ it. It's going to be great, man. We're going to be doing a ton of mojitos and
amazing.
trying the cigar out. It's going to be a great time. You know,
amazing. I'm gonna clear my schedule. I'm gonna have to see you there, and I'm gonna have to enjoy some of the music and some of that smoke. Well, I'm gonna have some of that smoke before August 21st, but starting after August 12th, I'm getting some of that Avo Caribe. That sounds like an amazing stick, man. So you can't go anywhere near your Instagram page, Mr. Eddy Guerra, and not see this fashion plate, this fashionista. I mean, I had to wear a shirt that would represent, a tenth of the fashion style you have. Where does this come from? I mean, where does your closet look like, my friend?
Dude, first of all, thank you. And now I feel bad that I didn't dress up in a suit.
That's okay. Even that, you got your retro '80s midnight oil.
Yeah, man.
About it there for those rock and rollers there.
It's dude. Honestly, it's a mix of a few things, man. I always love menswear. I don't know why. You know, it's just I always enjoyed looking at amazing suits and all that kind of stuff. When I moved overseas and I got to visit these venues, that's what it was all about. Like it was more of a fall in love process, and it's just something that, you know, I feel like, you know, when you dress well, like you feel good. You know what I mean? So it's just something that I enjoy doing. I try to keep with the trends. What my closet looks like, it's funny, man. My closet collapsed the other day. It really, I got a phone call from my fiance. She's like, hey, you got to call downstairs to the building because the closet fell. So I was like, what?
You're like, my shirts. My shoes.
Well, dude, so it turned. I've never really counted, but I had to, because like they're trying to blame me for it. I was like, nah, man, you guys built it wrong. Like, I don't know. And they're
7,000 shirts. You know, if you can't hold 7,000 shirts,
I have 47 suits.
Ooh, buddy.
It's just, but like, I had this phase where I was just like, I'm gonna get myself. I have a really great friend in Miami who's an outstanding tailor. He's won Tailor of the Year in Miami 10 years in a row, like on Yelp, and he's an amazing person. So like I had this phase where I would go every week, I want a new suit, you know, and I did that for a while until I was like, I don't know. I started getting all these weird patterns, and then I just kind of like slowed down, especially since I had to move up here. But yeah, it's that I love it, man. I don't know. It's a part of my personality, and again, that's why I'm different. We go to family functions and people are in jeans and t-shirts, and I still show up in a blazer and a button-up.
We know Eddie's here.
Right. It's weird. I almost feel weird without it.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, listen, thank you for the time. Thank you for the amazing sticks you're delivering us out there, time in and time out. Man. It's Eddy Guerra, Senior Brand Manager, Davidoff Cigars. And the new Avo Caribe comes out Thursday, August the 12th. Go get yourself some.
Yep. Thank you, man.
All right, Eddie. Thanks, man.
Have a good one, brother.